A new faction was hinted on SmackDown with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, so we'll see what could be coming there. We'll also check out some new issues with Damage Control and more. Let's start things off with one of the brief but very interesting moments from the July 7th edition of SmackDown. This, of course, was the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley's apparent collaboration. The Street Profits are seen waiting outside the arena, talking about how he said he was going to be here. Obviously, we don't know who they were referring to at that very point in time, but a limo pulls up and Bobby Lashley comes out of the car to greet the Street Profits. This was actually a big return moment for Bobby Lashley, since he hasn't been seen on SmackDown at all since May during the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. So it's Lashley's first television appearance in exactly 2 months. After greeting Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, Bobby Lashley invited them into the limo to talk. The Street Profits get in the car, and all 3 of them drive off into the night. So although we didn't get to hear an actual single second of their conversation with each other, it's clear what was being heavily implied there by the brief interaction before they drove off. It looks like off-screen, and while Bobby Lashley was away from SmackDown, he's been in communication with the Street Profits about the 3 of them all working together. After potential weeks of talking off-screen together, it looks like the 3 of them agreed to meet in person at the July 7th edition of SmackDown in North Carolina. And that's the moment we saw on SmackDown. So we get that basic confirmation there from the segment that Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are working together on something. But what exactly could it be? Well, the easiest guess is that they're all in early stages of forming a faction. With the Street Profits not being up to much lately on SmackDown, it looks like Bobby Lashley started recruiting them and pitching them some of his plans. And they seem to be fully on board with whatever he's been telling them. And Bobby Lashley as the leader of this new faction does fit his character because obviously Bobby Lashley has been a part of an extremely successful faction in the past with the Hurt Business. Even though MVP was the main mouthpiece of the group, Bobby Lashley was hands down the leader and the biggest superstar in the group. So it does make a lot of sense for him to take that prior experience that he had from his Hurt Business days and use that knowledge to start and lead a new faction of his own. The whole recruitment process is nothing new for Bobby Lashley. This is exactly what him and MVP did for the Hurt Business. They spent a long time looking around and trying to see who would fit the most with their vision for the Hurt Business. And it would appear that Bobby Lashley is doing the same thing again, or recruiting whoever fits his new vision for this faction. And the Street Profits are some amazing picks. Everyone knows how talented Montez and Angelo are both on their own, and as a tag team. So this new unity with Bobby Lashley could take them to the next level. Another fan theory that's floating around is if Bobby Lashley would bring in some of his old friends into this new faction. Fans have pointed out that MVP, Omos, Cedric Alexander, and Shelton Benjamin are all free agents in WWE. They're not tied down to any specific brand. So if Lashley wanted to reach out and include some of his old faction members and old manager, technically, they're available for hire. So it's very interesting that all those individuals just happen to be free agents. WWE patched up Bobby Lashley and MVP's relationship on WWE television back in December 2022, even hinting at a potential Hurt Business reunion at the time. But nothing truly ever came from that. But since they did squash their issues with each other all those months ago, it does leave the door of possibility open for Bobby Lashley to check in with MVP. Another fan theory connected to this potential new faction is the idea of them including a woman into the group. A lot of fans wanted to see groups like the Hurt Business and the Bloodline with a woman in their group, just as a way to further extend the faction's reach into the women's division, but it didn't happen in those cases. It did recently happen for the LWO though, with Zelina Vega, and she's been a great addition to that faction. It's hard to picture them without her. So fans are wondering if that could also be something else on Bobby Lashley's mind. He had several months to think this all through. So is expanding their impact into the women's division something he wants to do? And if it is, then Montez Ford may just have the perfect woman in mind for the faction, and that's his own wife, Bianca Belair. Bianca's main arc over the last few weeks has been about how nothing is really going her way, and how things out of her control have been costing her a lot of opportunities. So, assuming that Bianca Belair gets another title opportunity at SummerSlam, but is unable to win the title again, would that be Bianca's breaking point to check in with what her husband and Bobby Lashley are cooking up? A lot of fans have been assuming for weeks that Bianca's current arc would end in a major heel turn. But what if the payoff was Montez Ford bringing in Bianca Belair into Lashley's plans? And with just how frustrated and upset Bianca may be after things just keep going up against her, she may end up being that perfect brutal force and influence that Bobby Lashley could want to have in his new faction. It's been rumored for a long time now that the Street Profits and Bianca Belair would be going through some major character changes before the year ends. So to see everything Bianca is currently going through and what's now being teased with the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley definitely heats up the conversation even more. So now that we've seen the tease for Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits collaboration, maybe we'll get a few more teasers, or maybe the three of them will pop up one of these next few weeks at an event or a show to make a big statement. Life hasn't been getting easier for Damage Control as they're now being faced with even more issues. On the July 7th edition of SmackDown, we talked about how Bayley looked like she had nothing but good intentions for when it came to helping Iyo Sky cash in. But we question how long it'll last before Bayley starts letting her jealousy get in the way. Well, fast forward just 1 week after that cash-in attempt, and it looks like Bayley has already started to question herself on if she should assist Iyo Sky with the cash-in or not. During the main title match between Bianca Belair and Asuka, Iyo and Bayley once again came to try and attempt another cash-in, but it turned out unsuccessful once again. Iyo and Bayley handling the contract over to the referee for her, and a lot of fans felt like Bayley was taking her sweet time, fully handing over the contract. So it's unclear if there was just a timing issue and miscommunication there, or if Bayley was legitimately trying to quietly sabotage Iyo's cash-in. The night ended with Bayley and Iyo once again arguing over the issue, with now their second consecutive failed attempt at a cash-in. So it looks like there's still trouble in paradise for Damage Control, despite Iyo being in possession of the Money in the Bank contract. Their issues with each other isn't the only thing going wrong for Damage Control. Shotzi now appears to be gunning after Bayley and Iyo as well. So things are going to stay pretty challenging for Bayley and Iyo. But Bayley's attention towards helping Iyo cash in is definitely the situation to pay a close eye on here. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.